Today exactly is 3 months since I broke up with the person that I thought that I'll spend my life with. And I want to share the things that worked for me and the things that didn't work for me. So I was with that person for 14 months a year ago, and then I ended the relationship because we ultimately wanted different things. And I also kept seeing here and there some red flags, which of course I ignored. A month or two after that, I started seeing other people and I felt ready. But when I started seriously seeing someone else, it was just apparent to me that I was not ready. And I wish I healed more before I started seeing this person, but it didn't work. So that second relationship ended. And then the first person contacted me again and asked me to reconsider, to try again, and so on. So my intuition told me no. Of course, I ignored it. I'm not a person that regrets decisions because they come from my intuition. But when it came to this relationship, I regretted going back the second time. However, there are no mistakes, they're only lessons. So the second time, it just felt something was off again. We got engaged, but my intuition kept screaming and screaming that this is not the right person. And long story short, 4 months later, I ended things for good. And so it's been 3 months. And this time around, I'm healing in a completely different matter. And I want to share that with you because I've learned those lessons the first time that I rushed into relationships and it just didn't work. There are 10 things that I'm doing differently this time. One, and the most important one, is take your time to heal. It has to be your time. No one can tell you how long it's going to take. They say it takes half of the time that you were with that person, but it doesn't matter what people say. It has to feel right for you. If it feels right to take longer or shorter, it is what it is. You have to just listen to yourself. For me, I am not ready yet to date. However, I feel incredible in my skin this time around after 3 months. It's just night and day difference because I took my time. I looked inside, I worked on my triggers, and I feel so healthy and healed. And what helped me this time, I took time not to distract myself, but to slow down, look inside, use journaling, meditation, exercises, all these tools that we have in the toolbox available for us to slow down, look inside, and then look back in the relationship and find the lessons. For me, the most important thing after a breakup is to find the lessons. What did I do that I can do differently next time? Why I did what I did, why I said what I said, where the triggers are, where my shadows are, how did I show up in that relationship? Why did I show up like that? Why did I choose that person? Is this a pattern? All these questions to see what I can do differently, because relationships are mirror. What triggers us in the other person is something that we need to look inside, find why it triggers us, usually it's from our childhood, and then work to heal that part of us. And it's not the other person. It is easier to distract ourselves, to go into another relationship, and to just try to suppress the feelings. However, suppressed feelings will come up in another relationship, maybe in a year, maybe in two, if we are not healed. It's very important to heal ourselves mentally and emotionally. Forgive that person, let it go, look for the lessons, and then move on. So whatever time it takes, it's not going to happen overnight. And it's very difficult because there will be a lot of moments that you're going to feel like you will not be able to handle these feelings. But believe me, it's so empowering when you learn to handle these difficult emotions and just stay with them instead of running away from them and going distracting yourself. Number two, You don't need a closure. You don't need the explanation why they did what they did and apologizing and taking accountability and all that, because it is a capacity issue. Some people are not equipped to do that, especially avoidants who suppress their emotions. They are not even going to want to have this difficult conversation, but let's say it's not avoidant and they don't give you an explanation. You don't need that last conversation. Closure, it's a decision. You don't need someone else to give you the answer. You need to look within and give that to yourself. Closure starts with you. And once I decided to take responsibility for my own healing, it just didn't really matter why this person was doing what he was doing, why he acting or saying these things. I knew it has nothing to do with me. It's his own limitations. It's his own capacity. That is who he is. That is how he perceives the world, the relationships and all that. It has nothing to do with me. So asking him for a closure, it's just waste of time and energy trying to figure it out why he did what he did. And you know what? I'm saying this, but it took me a while. And a friend of mine called me on it. And she said, why are you doing this to yourself? Why do you need to figure it out why he did what he did? But our brain is trying to figure it out. What's happening, to make sense of it. And it's normal. But at one point, I decided, you know what? I'm done. I will never be able to be in his head and figure it out. It doesn't matter. All it matters is how I heal. So I was able to slowly move on. And I'm just going to say this. In the beginning, you are, of course, going to feel like you're thinking about this person 24/7, waking up, going to bed. And then, of course, the moments will be more rare and so on. But catch yourself overthinking and ruminating and trying to figure it out and make sense of it, because that will slow the healing down. And you're going to be stuck in this rumination mode and you might start feeling depressed. The third thing is no contact, no exceptions. Again, no contact, no exceptions. I had to repeat this one because I've heard so many people, friends of mine too, break up and then they stay in touch. How are you able to move on if you're staying in touch with that person? And why would you give your power away? Block and stop being in contact. I'm guilty of that. This is the only time in my life that I did that last year. And I wrote the person a letter because I felt that when I ended things, it was so abrupt. And I realized in my head, it was not abrupt, but that's how it came across. And I wanted to give him the closure. That's why I wrote the letter. But then he responded and I didn't want to go back and forth. So I wrote a letter and I said, this is the last letter. This chapter is closed. I'm moving on. And I said to myself, if I am to receive another letter from this person, I'm going to tear it up. I'm not even going to read, because every time you read, you would want to respond. Please, no stalking on social media, no check-ins, no happy birthday and all that. You need to heal and move on. You have to put yourself first, period. That's it. Number 4, and that might be hard for a lot of people. Be honest about your part in it. And breakups are not just about what the other person did. They're always two people in a relationship. And only by looking inward, we can see what our role was. And I'll tell you, when you're fresh out of a breakup, that will be a very difficult thing to do. So don't even attempt it. Give yourself a month or so, depending how much you're working on your inner world, and then start to look within and reflect on your role. Did you ignore red flags? Did you chase validation? Did you settle for emotional, unavailable people? This is a tough questions to ask, but they are necessary, because next time around, you're going to be choosing differently. Because if it is a pattern for you to choose emotionally unavailable people, next time around, I promise you're going to choose the same person. So look inside and reflect on those things. Number 5, don't numb the pain. Face it. It's very difficult and it's very tempting to numb the pain and staying busy, overly busy, drinking, going out, partying, distractions, talking on the phone constantly about this person. In the beginning, it's normal, but realize that numbing the pain will not make it go away. On the contrary, it will delay your healing. I had to sit down with my emotions, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult because sometimes we're going to be blaming ourselves and saying why I said this, why I did that, maybe I shouldn't have said this. There'll be moments of doubt, absolutely. And so try not to distract yourself. Start meditating. Start to face those difficult emotions, the reality of what happened. Accept it. It's a grieving process. For me, I thought I'll spend the rest of my life with that person. I had an image in my head and we were looking for an apartment. And so you have this image in your head and this movie for the future you're going to have together. And then when things end, you realizing this is not happening. So you have to grieve that part. And grief is an essential part of the healing process. And as grief comes in stages, so it's not going to be overnight. Number 6, don't seek revenge. Heal and glow up instead. Glow up is the biggest revenge. Not doing it for that person, but just taking care of ourselves emotionally, mentally, physically, starting a new hobby, starting a business, or whatever it is, starting something that you were not able to do with that person, or you always wanted to do, but glow up. That will take, first of all, your mind off, your energy will shift, and revenge never leads to a peace because it comes from this vindictive place. I'm going to show this person and I'm going to do this. And you're still digging in the past. No matter what they did, there's always karma. We're not the judge of why they did what they did. Don't play God. Move on. Glow up. And the best payback is when you become happy in who you are, successful and unbothered, that they don't even recognize the person you have become. That is the biggest revenge. For me, I went all in on my YouTube channel and on TikTok because when I was with that person, I was not able to give my full energy to my full-time job, to this person. And then I have other hobbies. I'm a member of a drum band and I love going out with friends and hosting things. So I spread myself too thin all the time. I use this time to just go all in. I poured my energy into learning new skills, taking care of my mental health, building a stronger sense of self. I know it's very difficult in the beginning, but everything happens for a reason. And you have to believe that. Number 7, make a list of the red flags that you ignore. And make this list and put it somewhere that you have access to. Every time you start missing that person, doubting yourself, start reading that list. Go back to that list. And that also will help you not to ignore these red flags next time around with a different person. For me, when we got back together, I already had a list from the first time we broke up, but the second time around, the exact same things came up and I ignored them. So taking full responsibility for that. But in times of doubt, look at that list, read it. It's going to help you tremendously. Number 8, high vibration person doesn't chase or beg. Do not ever, under any circumstance, chase someone who made it so clear that they don't want you in their life. Years afterwards, you're going to look back and you would have wished you didn't drag your dignity on the floor. If they're breaking up with you or you break up with them, pick up your dignity and go. Be silent. No matter what they say, the way they broke up, do not chase or beg. This is something that you're gonna give your power away, your dignity, and it's gonna be so hurtful. You're gonna look down on yourself. In that relationship, I started seeing that I was being flexible more than I should have. And at one point, my boundaries felt off. It was towards the end, but I started seeing myself as I'm letting myself down. And it just did not feel good. And I said to myself, you know what? If I continue like that, I will feel like I'm betraying myself and I'm letting myself down, and I'll start looking down on myself. And I do not ever want to do that. So for me, the best thing is to end things right then. I did not chase, beg, or whatever. I kept silent. I said what I had to say in a very calm voice, and I walked away. If what it takes is for you to chase or beg that person to be with you, then would you want really to be with someone who is there because you beg them and now you have no boundaries, you're giving everything to them and they just keep taking? How are you going to feel? I know this. Two people are right for each other when they choose each other. If you don't choose each other, you're not right for each other. You have to move on. And you have to know that you don't need to beg for validation or chase after anyone. Your self-worth, it's not dependent on someone else's approval. Although I never chased or begged, but I bent my boundaries towards the end. And I realized, you know what? My self-worth is suffering. And my self-worth is not dependent on this person, period. Number 9, you must become, yes, I'm saying must. I rarely use the word must, but you must become whole without them. You don't need someone to complete you. When they say, oh, she's my better half, or he's this, he completes me. No one needs to complete you. It's none of their job to complete you. You're a whole person without anyone else. And yes, after a breakup, we feel lost because we relied on this person or they met a need that we had. But our happiness doesn't depend on the other person. If you're not a happy person, being with someone, it's not going to make you happy, because even if you are happy while they're with you, you're still giving your power away. If you're happy without anyone, then you can be with someone who just come together and enjoy each other's company and being in each other's lives. But you don't need anyone to complete you. And become the one. If you want certain qualities in a person, become those qualities. Become the person you want to be dating. Very often when we're in a relationship, we start neglecting our hobbies, our friends. Luckily, I didn't do that because I was very conscious of it. And I told this person once we started dating that for me, it's extremely important to spend time with my son one-on-one, with my mom one-on-one, with my friends without him, to go on trips with my friends or by myself to a retreat or whatever it is. I need to do the hobbies that I'm already doing, and I'm not going to be canceling rehearsals or any of that because of him. And I was explicitly clear in the beginning, and I said to him, I would love you if you do the same, because I think that's healthy. Start a hobby. Start the things that you always wanted to do. And if you don't know what those things are, journal, write down what would you want to do, research, and start doing those things. And once you start dating, do not neglect your friends. Do not neglect your hobbies. Do not neglect your life. Number 10, upgrade yourself. Don't seek validation. This is similar to the points before, but very often when we break up with someone, we stop exercising, we stop eating nutritious meals. We just do all these things that are not good for our emotional, mental, physical being. And it's very important to continue to do those things. And especially when we're in a breakup. So for me, what works is yoga, meditation, daily, journaling. I watch content that uplifts me. I don't watch drama, murder, horror, any of that things. I spend a lot of time outdoors, especially if you live around where there's nature. Spend a lot of time around nature. Go on daily walks. I live in New York City. I have a very small park around me, but I try to go and spend time outside as much as possible and become that person who knows their worth. Because when you know your worth, you do not seek validation from someone else. I have to tell you that these are very often childhood traumas that you need to work on. I worked on a lot of my abandonment wounds that come from childhood. I was raised extremely poor. So I worked on a lot of my money challenges years ago, not now. I love the way I think about money right now. And I feel blessed that I'm so abundant. But you have to work on these things that are preventing you from living your best life. Take time to invest in yourself. Watch videos, get to know what healthy relationship looks like. What relationship do you want? And maybe do a vision board. I love vision boards. I do them every year. I did a new one after the breakup. And vision board, it's great to see what you want in the future. What kind of a partner do you want? I encourage you to use this time to become the person that you always wanted to be. And if you want all these tools that I use and all the questions that I reflected on, the affirmations, the mantra that helped me, all the rituals that I did, I put together the Breakup Healing Journal. The link is down below and you can check it out. And I hope that really helps. And it's not about changing who you are, but it's about becoming the best version of yourself. And remember that every beginning starts with ending something else. If it helps you to make a list of the times when things didn't work out that you thought they would, and then down the road you saw that actually they work out for the better. And that it's a good way to reflect and see the light in the end of the tunnel. I believe always things happen for our highest good and in the perfect time that they need to happen. This time, it's chance to reflect, learn, grow, and work on yourself. Here's an affirmation that I like to use, especially right after an ending. This affirmation always helps me. What it's mine, it's on its way. And one mantra that I use when I sage my home in the morning is let it go, let it be, let it come to me. I hope that you see this time as an opportunity to become the best version of yourself. And I'll see you next time. Ciao.